Okay. Good afternoon, Janice. How are you?
Hi, Nap. I'm doing good. Thank you. How about you?
Great. Thank you so much for accepting our invite and being here with us. Let me just brief you what we are doing here. So, we are an NGO in the Maldives, Professional Coaching and Mentoring Association of Maldives. And what we're trying to do is we are trying to champion a culture of coaching out here. So, when we do this, we believe that coaching is a value that should be instilled in people, and it is something that will really help us to communicate with our loved ones and kind of have that amazing culture going on. So let me just ask you to introduce yourself. I've met you during our work together, and you are an amazing trainer. Please introduce yourself to us.
It's nice to connect with you again, Nafa. My name is Janice, and I am working as a university professor here in the Philippines right now. I've been a uni professor for 21 years. Also worked in different international brand of hotels here in the Philippines, and lucky to have met you with a year of stint at the Maldives, one of the resorts there in the Maldives. So there, I have been in the hospitality industry for more than 20 years, and happy to still be here.
Amazing. It's so beautiful to see you back. And today we're talking about role of facilitators in promoting this healthy organizational culture. So, what do you think this learning mindset means and what it means to be a facilitator for you?
Uh, a learning mindset to me as a trainer and as a facilitator is about you foster a culture of continuous growth. You need to be able to adapt, and you need to be able to enhance curiosity to people, to learners. It means embracing new perspectives, seeking out innovative teaching, teaching experiences or strategies, and being open to feedback. Learners these days have already adapted to change. Technological wise, we are already much advanced. So the adaptability to change should always be there. A learning mindset means continuously updating training programs, integrating technologies, ensuring that learning is really relevant for them, and it differs according to the age of the people, of the learners. um, you also want to heighten on encouraging critical thinking and reflection, because these days people, the learners, are already, you say, technologically, as I mentioned, technologically advanced, so they're more exposed to different things. And I think because of artificial intelligence, you should be able to enhance, or you should be able to craft out original ideas from these people, so it would be an interactive learning.
You have described it very well. And when you talk about adapting to these changes, the new technologies that are out there, like what do you think most people face difficulty with when it comes to change?
Change is sometimes, um, there are people who would be hindered by change, and some people would embrace change. It's more of the fear of the unknown, that I would say, fear of the unknown, that people would be reluctant to do changes. It's your comfort zone versus the irregularities that you might experience. So, um, what if you would ask me, for those people who are, let's say, who are faced with the challenge of having change, or experiencing going through a changing process, I'd say that they be facing it with their good spirit at heart, their belief in their self, because life is never easy. Life is always a constant battle. So there's no comfort in you not being wholeheartedly facing each and every struggle. So I guess being brave to be there right up front the battlefield is a good thing.
Definitely, we should always face the challenges, face the problems, but a lot of people, we kind of tend to run away from them, we kind of avoid
Mm.
them, and this creates bigger problems. Don't you agree?
That's correct. That's really true. You know, sometimes you encounter people who would just be so reluctant that it's because they don't want to surrender their the freedom, the comfort that they're enjoying. So might as well, if you want to get to something bigger, to something brighter, embrace change. That's it.
Exactly. So when you are doing trainings, you work in the hospitality industry as well as in the teaching, which is all about changing mindsets. So how do
Mm.
you face this challenge? How do you try to incorporate a learning mindset in people?
You know, I've been teaching, I don't know now, maybe half your age or that, but I customize my trainings based on the participants' needs. You know, being a trainer, being a teacher, you need to be able to relate to these people. And when I train people, I usually do the training with situations. These days, it's more of situation based because you've got technology, as I mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence is here. So if for you to be able to enhance the learnings that they have, you have to reinforce critical thinking and flexibility. So if you be able to extract those from them, that means there's participative learning. The environment is a two-way process. I, as a trainer, can learn from the students and the learners, right? And they can learn from me as well. So it's a give and take process, I'd say.
Yes. So, what do you, other than using the situations, what kind of strategies do you use to encourage participants to adopt? Like when they go back to work, how do you make sure that they're going to use what you have taught them?
Well, rating them for themselves, like I ask them usually before sessions, I ask them, what do you think are your strengths? And what do you think are your weaknesses? And then after I ask them to write them down, usually I ask them to write them down. And then from that point on, there should be always a follow-up training to measure for you to measure, are you still having trouble with this part? How do you see yourself working on this challenge that you have told me or told us before? During the first session you mentioned that you were facing this as a like a block in your way, but now how are you facing it? So it's not more of a, how would you say it, I don't really scale them from 1 to 10. I asked them how is their emotional um, capacity to have adapted to the change. If they did, and if they did, then let's ask them to like continue what they're doing. But if there is a roadblock that they're facing, then let's talk about it more. Maybe you need a different approach. You know, there are learners who are more of visual learners. There are learners who do it by experience. There are learners who hear and adapt to it better, like those stuff. So you need to be able to adjust your learner. There's no learner that is very, there are no group of learners that are um, harmoniously, like they all be able to understand you by just the pictures that you see. So there might be changes in the way that you have to approach things. So I would say that being a teacher, I have also observed that one, you need to be able to adapt to your students or to the people around you. So there.
That is a beautiful thing that you just mentioned. I remember as someone who was working with me as the training manager of the island, you were definitely someone who would go up to people, and I don't know how you do it, but you always remember their situation, the last conversation that you had with them. You would pick up from there and you would ask them how they are doing now, what happened to this particular scene, like what is the update. And that is, I think, something really amazing. So it the work environment as well, do you usually do these follow-ups, checkups? How does your daily communication look like?
Thank you, Nav. You know, working with you in that resort with more than, I'd say more than 100, let's say, I cannot remember the exact number anymore, but definitely more than 200 to 300 people, you know. We both didn't had the chance to know them individually, right? So these bits and pieces of time that we spend with them, just say hi, hello, how are you? How's your family doing? These make them feel that they're part of a community, a part of a company. That I think if you foster this family thinking, this integration of values that you care, the company cares for you, and that you want to make sure that we being being a very diverse um environment that we faced in that resort, remember, we had to make sure that we will be able to adapt and learn and hear their concerns. So I'm a Filipino. I came from the Philippines. My concern might not be similar to you from from people from the Maldives. So being listening to them as part of our role in the human resource department, right? It's just a thing that we seriously have to adapt so that we make sure that somehow their voices are heard, somehow they can be represented. So that's inclusion and diversity. And we want to focus on that one. This is a those are big words, inclusion and diversity lately. But you see, if you practice it, it's not really like a call for urgency, but somehow if we practice it one in each and every one of us, I think we would foster a family like environment, right? So there, I hope that it's still they still get to practice that one and we still get to continue with it.
Definitely. And what you have mentioned is really amazing. Like everybody wants to be feel like they're seen, like they're heard,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they want to know that okay, someone is out there looking for them, right? So
that's
in a
correct.
world where they're gone missing, someone is looking out, someone wants to know where they are. That's all the human really deserves. Like that's all they're craving for, as I say it.
Yeah,
And one of the most important values in coaching is also that we listen to them. We make sure that we're listening to them, and that's the only way we can help them, right?
that is correct.
And this is one of the reasons why I approached to you as well, because you are someone who's very family oriented. I see you taking out your nieces almost every week somewhere. I see the
Yeah,
videos, and even
yeah.
in the office I see that you are playing games, you're doing something. I always see a video around. So tell us about this community lifestyle, tell us about this socializing. What, how does it make you feel, and why do you prioritize it so much?
Now for me, the belongingness, the feeling of belongingness is a priority. We already know that from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? From that theory on, you everybody wants to be somebody cared for, somebody looked after for. So I would think that fostering that kind of environment into anywhere and um disregarding differences of culture, disregarding religion, disregarding um whether you're somebody from here or somebody from there, I would really say that if you harness this kind of environment to everyone, peace would be everywhere, and there would always be like a form of understanding between people and appreciation of each other's culture, and with that you create harmony. And that's what we want. You want Nobody wants to work in an environment that there's always like fighting or arguing. People would work and feel that they are part of a family if they are heard, if they are taken care of, if they are given the basic necessities that they need. If you can provide more than the basic, then we should be thankful, right? But moreover than that, the feeling of being accepted, the feeling of belonging, the feeling of you're valued. That's the thing. Even if you play the smallest role or the biggest role in an organization, you being there inside the circle means a lot. So irregardless of how big the space or the small space that you take up, you being part of that circle means something. So I would say I'd stick to that. I've always um championed for those kinds of things because I don't want to be this. I don't want to feel disregarded. I don't want to feel that I am not part of anything. So why would I let others feel that way as well, right?
Yes, we should definitely not let others feel in any way that we don't want to feel, right?
Yes, definitely.
And definitely we also had this small circle where I remember we would make food, we would meet up, and I think that's the reason why I've stayed there for that long. That community, that bonding was there, which was really
Yes,
beautiful. Disregard, like, regardless of all the challenges, but that little bit of, okay, I belong here, people want me here, that feeling kept us going.
that's
And
true.
when I talk about that, you've walked in a lot of with a lot of people from different diverse backgrounds. Tell us about the challenges or what you think is the most difficult part about adapting.
Adapting to diverse culture is a challenge for everyone, I would say, right? Maybe initially because of I see the backgrounds. It's not more of, I would say it's not more of how do you say it, looking into the skin of people. It's more of communication challenges. That's the first thing for me. The communication challenges. It's hard to talk to people when you cannot be able to really translate to them what you really want to say. And we're struggling. I was struggling with Google Translate at that point. And we had different kinds of let's say I'll mention our Indian community. The one community talks this Indian language and the other community speaks a different Indian language, where that I cannot be able to I cannot talk to them in a way that I would want to reach out to them. So I would guess one of the biggest challenges, or I would not guess, I would say that biggest challenge is communication. You being able to say how you want it to be said. So how do I address that one? Is I show them, I just show them how I want it to be done, how I want, how I'm expecting it to be done, like that. So not really how I want, but how they can be able to. So you see, we were training managers, right? So it's better if you do it this way, but I cannot say it. So I show them how you do it. So leading by example is another strong point that we should also harness as trainers, because it's never easy to talk. You just cannot be complacent with Google Translate. Second thing is that um, with diversity, the you see the culture might be different. There's a culture that's very independent. There's a culture that is mostly you need to be pushing them. So we might come off as being too pushy for those who are independent, and being so less disregarding if we are not really guiding them properly. So you see, sometimes we have to really adjust depending on the people that we have with us. And embracing these changes, again, is a challenge. So we have to learn every day. It's a give and take process. There's no perfect approach to every situation. Just learn every day, be able, and more importantly, now is, I guess, that accepting that as a trainer, we are never perfect. I am never perfect. You can be corrected. You can be making mistakes as well. You may be hurting people. You may be saying things differently than the way that you want it to be. So I guess it comes with also opening up your heart and your mind to situations and accepting facts that you also need to change yourself, or me myself, I need to change also for better. So that's it. Be fair and square to everybody.
What you have mentioned is amazing, and I'd like to ask you about two, three questions just because of what you just said. So, the first thing is that when you are speaking to people, even without the language barrier, it gets really difficult, really tough to get through to them. So, in this case, how do you wire them, or how do you make them understand something? Or how do you make them realize that this learning process is good for them? Because the first thing that they need to do is really believe in the trainer or believe in that training process, right?
That's correct. In a training environment, the challenge is, especially in adult learners, there's always the challenge of you proving yourself that you're worthy to be a trainer. So what I would really do, sometimes I call it resistance. So I handle this way by creating a supportive and engaging learning environment using, let's say, I need to build trust and relevance. I need to tell people that I'm here to help you and I'm here to learn with you. And these lessons or these learnings that we're going to be sharing today is more of it will be coming from you. You being here in the environment for how many years, and me who's just, let's say, a newbie or a new one, and those who are just like me who are just like a month or so, they might be able to pick up something for you. So including these people who are resistant in the conversation, in the training, would make them be assertive in such a way that they're contributing. So you don't tell them that, shut up, I don't need your input. No, you tell them to talk, share their experience. They're going to be so proud of those things. And then you tell them, the next learners, okay, you heard him say this is what he does. So would you be able to willing to try it for yourself? At least these new people, they'll be able to get some bits and pieces or points on how to make things work for them. So build trust, create a relevant environment for them. Encourage open dialogue is important. Encourage open talking. Let them speak. um, Discussions are very important. It's important so that they can express their doubts, their perspectives. So you want to understand them, right? We need to address their concerns directly so that we can be able to identify where is the resistance coming from. I also try to, let's say, I try to highlight also small wins. Like I usually acknowledge progress. Being a trainer, you say, very good. You did this. You're saying this one. Let's practice this one. Let's try to do it this way. He's so good at it. Let's practice it like that." So, um, you're talking about adult learners. So one way or the other, if it works for somebody, it might also work for him, right? So with combining this engagement, relevance, this empathic environment, I gradually shift this resistant mindset towards openness.
Amazing. And I love how you put that we should not dismiss those who resist. A lot of times, we're going to get irritated. We're going to not want to listen. We're going to want to punish this person.
Yes.
And what you have put out there is beautiful, because the only way to deal with is really to include them, to support them, to encourage them, and to make them feel like they're part of the teaching process as well. And this makes it easier for the trainer as well as the participants. It's
That's right.
amazing how you put it. So to get to the second part, you talked about, as a trainer, that you need to be self-aware, that you need to accept your flaws as well. So tell us about this process, like what is going to.
If I got your question correctly, now you said how I would face challenges. Is that right?
As a trainer, you talked about how you would accept your own mistakes and your flaws, right? So I would like you to really talk
Oh.
about this.
Accepting mistakes, accepting challenges, accepting rejections as a trainer. Over the years, for the last 20 years, I had my ups and downs as well. I would say it's not easy for you to accept your mistakes. It's never easy. But one thing for me works is that you contemplate, you remind yourself that you're also human, you commit mistakes. You do not castigate yourself because you made something wrong, or you might have hurt somebody, or you might have scolded someone, shouted at someone. You're human, but it's never an excuse. So what I really do is also I always want to learn from other people. I also learn from other people. So I try to always put myself into their shoes. And how would I feel if I was the learner and she was or he was my teacher? If I did that, the same thing that I did to me, how would I feel? So sometimes I do that thinking. And if I realize that there's really something wrong with what I did, I really try to say that I would usually say I would usually say I'm sorry if I still have the chance. If not, let that be a learning ground for me. You know, maturity is also coming up with experience. The more mature, the more experienced that you are, the more understanding you become. So when comparing myself, my 20 minus 20 years of myself to what I have right now, to my age right now, to the experience that I have right now, if I would get irritated, I would have shouted easily. But these days, okay, you want to talk? Talk it over with your group. Lower your voice, talk it over. But before, 20 years back, I would just shout and just scold everybody. But see, it you learning changes you. You adapt to change. And maybe somehow one way or the other, it still works for me because I'm still a teacher. And I hope to still be a teacher in the next few more years or 10 more years. That's it.
Inshallah, you will have that amazing journey for yourself. And when we are talking about embracing that our own flaws, right? Okay, I've made a mistake. I remember said this particular speech from Lisa Nichols, I believe, and she says that forgiveness is something that we should do it for ourselves, right? Because before we forgive someone else, before we forgive other people for their mistakes or their problems, we should always focus on forgiving ourselves first, because this is the only way we will move on. Something has happened, if we keep on lingering on it, it's going to destroy us, it's going to create more problems. So we need to forgive ourselves first so that we're able to face the next challenge with more clarity and understanding as well. So like you said, this comes with a lot of ups and downs. This comes with, okay, understanding that, okay, I am losing my
Yes,
temper, I need to be more patient, right? And this has happened
yes,
so many
true.
times. True. So when we talk about this, is there anybody you look up to as a trainer, or somebody that you have learned something amazing from, that you would just like to share with us?
No particular person, no particular no particular person that I look up to. No specific person, I'm sorry. No specific person. But I would just say leaders from all over the world. Like I look up to them, they have their different leadership styles, the way that they how would you say it? The way that they motivate people to trust in them. It's really hard if you're the one on top and that you have to carry this burden on your shoulders. So I guess it's like you wanted to teach them to follow you. You wanted to teach them that you have to trust me, that I'll be leading the country into ways. So there are a lot. I don't want to miss somebody. I don't want to name some people that might be yes or no for somebody like that. So motivators are all over the world. I see people who are inspiring. Somebody who, for me, I look up to the people who always, as a teacher, these people who always extend a hand to those who are needing this guidance. Beyond training, beyond lecture, you extend emotional support, you extend, how do you say it? Uh, when you want to be able to push that person into somebody to become more like that, you motivate that person. So whenever you motivate a person, whenever you coach someone into becoming somebody else, because you know for yourself that he can do it or she can do it, then you're somebody who needs to be uh, applauded, because you believe in someone and you see that capacity in someone. So I don't really want to name specific people now, but a lot of people has influenced where I am right now, and these people are really supplemental or really motivating me to be better. And becoming better is always a daily challenge. These people, you just need to keep your eye open and be accepting to change. See people around you, see things that they're doing, little things that makes it a whole lot better. So maybe I don't have one specific person. Sorry.
No, you have said it amazingly because it doesn't have to just be the burden or the responsibility of great leaders, right? It is
Mhm.
something that everyone can do. For example, me and you, when we go in a training room, we know that these people need us and we're providing them a service and they look up to us in a certain way, right? Because they're learning something from us. And the same goes for us, everybody that's around us, all the managers that we've worked with, all the parents that you have met in school. I'm sure
Yeah.
even from students and employees, you learn a lot. So, do you remember any significant participant that you have encountered, something that changed your approach, maybe?
You know, there was this, I remember this, I specifically remember this one experience, memorable experience. It was during a customer service training here in the Philippines, in a customer service environment in the hospitality setting. So it was a hotel that hired us to do the training. A participant who was a housekeeper, a housekeeping attendant, I'd say, with over, let's say, over maybe 10 years, over 10 years of experience, shared how he handled a difficult guest complaint by using nonverbal communication. He wasn't talking because he's saying that the customer was really shouting already. He was so mad. But that guy, that housekeeping guy, was just handling the complaint, not talking back to the customer. His warm actions and attentive gestures diffused the situation without needing any words. So this moment reinforced to me that learning is always a two-way process. Even as a trainer, I get valuable insights from participants' real-world scenarios. And since then, I have incorporated, since that point moving forward, I incorporated storytelling um, and peer learning to my sessions. You see, the stories are real life scenarios where we can be able to pick up some things and allowing our participants to share their unique strategies and practices can be helpful and make sure that these are like it enriches the discussion, but also it it also empowers them to see themselves as contributors to collective learning. So, there, from then on, it's always like, tell me how you did this one. Tell me, rather than me telling them, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. No, but it works this way now. For me, it's more of tell me how you did it. Tell us how you did it. Then we take it from there.
That's a lovely approach. What you're doing is something that definitely would make a difference because at the time when you are asking them how they did it and what's their approach, you're really instilling this confidence in them that there's somebody capable and qualified and experienced to do
Yes.
something amazing.
Yes.
So that is really beautiful. And when you design your trainings, how do you foster this kind of curiosity and make sure that they're on this continuous learning path?
Uh, First and foremost, I like, let's say, how would I say it? I'm, d- it's more of inquiry based learning. I start with a thought provoking question, real world challenges. I told you I like storytelling better now rather than teaching this method, this method, this method. No, I veered away from that one and did it this way. It works for me. It's been working for me for the last. Sorry, the tablet just slipped. One moment. Let me just fix that one. There. So I designed my training based on this question, the central question that I throw at the beginning of the class. This encourages participation, I encourage them to explore solutions rather than passively receiving information from me. They might have more on the thought rather than me giving out information. So it's just going to be like a two-way process. Let's learn from each other. Give me your ideas, I'll give you my ideas. Then let's check which one is going to work, right? Interactive activities are very useful as well. Case studies, role playing, simulations. If you can have it in your class, in your participants, problem solving methods, just not mathematics problem solving, but scenario based problem solving, it would stimulate curiosity and critical thinking to each and every one. And because we are already living in a technologically advanced environment, there's a lot of videos around you, digital tools, industry insights, journals that can help you. Researches are really available at the tip of your fingertips. So explore, learn. So we you teachers have also evolved. They need to also evolve. Gone are the days when you just check on the book, give the lecture. You have to let them think. You have to exercise their brains. Give them scenarios that's gonna be able that they're gonna be able to understand if their value proposition is correct, or they can do better. So give and take, it's going to be a better discussion rather than let what's letter A, what's letter B, what's letter C. So there, progressive learning is always there, and we should always face it.
Perfect. So what you're saying is that instead of giving them everything they need, you kind of teach them how to get what they need on their own, right?
That's right. Learning, making the learning engaging, relevant, self driven, you cultivate to them a mindset of curiosity where it leads to a better lifelong learning. You want to make them understand situations on their own and process it on their brains. That if I do this, I get this. If I don't do this, this what's happening. That's gonna be it. So let them process it rather than you giving them the straight answers. This is what you should do. This is what you should do. Behind their backs, you don't know if they're understanding the concept behind it, the idea behind it. Let them figure it out. They'd remember it better.
That's that's so true because our experience defines our own perspective. So
That's right.
no two people will learn the same thing the same way. So why waste our energy on trying to really be adamant on fixating, like, okay, this is it. There's no certain rule, there's no certain guideline, to be honest, as I
That's
see it.
correct. Nav, I'm not a perfect teacher, and I'm not claiming to be the best one, but I would really just say that it's not really always ABC step one, two, and three. It's not always going to be like that. That creative thinking has to be there. Individuality has to be there. Um, the self. How do you say it? Like you being the idea of you handling the situation for yourself on your own terms, on your own condition, the way that you see it as the way is it correct, then go for it. You learn if it's correct or not, somehow, some way or the other. So at least it's your thinking, not somebody else teaching you, right?
Oh, that's an amazing call. It's your thinking, not somebody else's. Perfect. Because when we are learning, of course, we see things from our perspective. We see things from how we have experienced life. Even though we read the same sentence, what you get and what I get will definitely be very different. Skies
Hmm.
apart, I would say. So
Yes.
when so when we talk about this at the end of the training, let's say there will be ways that you have to assess yourself as well, right? How did I do? Because that's the only way you get better. So what are the methods of feedback you usually receive, and how do you reflect on the feedback?
Well, when we do trainings, we usually have evaluation forms. So if we have access to evaluation forms, I check on them. And we design the evaluation forms not by scoring. It's more of paragraph. You have to answer in short sentences because it's far better, definitely giving you an impression of how you reached out to your learners rather than scoring me 1, 2, 3 to 10 or something like that. If they like me or not, if they understood me or not, it's better if I have that feedback in paragraph form. Now, um, how do I say that I pick it up from there? I check the feedback. I check if they have learned. If I do trainings in a controlled environment, like in a hotel, if I do the trainings, after the training, I monitor through the supervisors or the managers. How's the engagement? How's the reports? How's the customer service? Did it increase? Or are we still at this stage? So if they're telling me that we have already a significant increase in the customer service satisfaction, then that means I did a good job. But it's not always a good thing. It's not always like perfect environment. No, so sometimes I also encounter that they were not able to adapt to the change that I suggested to them. Then maybe I do the reflection and I check what is their culture, what is the current environment that this business is working on. Maybe I did not adapt that culture into the lessons that I have integrated to them. So for me, it's also important for a for a trainer, for a learning manager, for a teacher, you also have to check what is the capacity of your learners, what is the environment that they are in, are they in a an environment that they're counted on statistical evaluations, or are they counted on the let's say performance appraisals of the managers only, not the customers, but the managers will rank them or score them. So I guess I have to check on those things before making a customized approach into learning because as I said earlier, learners differ from one another. It's not the usual blackboard chalk thing. You have to make sure that you understand also the learners and their capacity. So there, I evaluate myself if they scored higher or not, or if they said that it's working for them or not. But it's always better if you have a follow through. There's always a measure of how you did. So if they're happy, if customer service satisfaction is increasing, then you're doing something good. But if it's stuck in a place, then there's something that's missing. So reevaluate. Go back, check what's missing, check what has been missed out, then do a different approach. It's always a cycle, it's always a circle. Never a one standard band aid. Band aid is this one, this is it. No, it's not going to work that way. So you we have to evolve, we have to learn, we have to. I say I'm never perfect, but there's always a learning ground, there's a learning curve for each and everyone, however old you are, however young you are, there's always this learning curve that we have to adjust to.
Definitely. Constant learning is the only way we can stay afloat. And when we talk about this, how do you stay up to date with the latest trends and researches, or even in the market when you're doing the customer satisfaction thing?
Oh, in the trajectory of learning, as mentioned earlier, um as teacher, you have to have continuous professional development. There are teachers who have been in the industry for 60 years, 50 years. I guess all over the world, we have those people who are very much dedicated teachers. I'm sure these teachers, they attend conferences just like me. In order for me to stay up to date with the latest trends and researches in adult learning and multifaceted approach, I do attend conferences, workshops, certification programs related to training, related to my field, to my niche, right? Hospitality and tourism education to refine my facilitation technique. I am active in research and writing researches. I engage in academic research. I contribute to publications here in the Philippines. I try to participate in national. I don't have any international yet for this year. I try to participate in national conferences so that it allows me to stay informed no matter how busy you are. Again, learning is there. You have to be there and you have to, as a teacher, you have to learn every day. You have to learn what's the latest trend. You have to be updated. Otherwise, the world's going to spin without you, right? Networking and collaboration is also very important. You stay connected with industry professionals, these educators in the industry. You you don't treat them as your enemy. Don't treat them as your what's that, rival. You can treat them as somebody that, what does he know? What don't I know? I should learn that one because he knows that one. So, you don't really actually compare yourself, but you don't want to be left behind. It's not only in the teaching, it's everywhere, in all professions. In all professions, you want to harness your skill. For you to harness your skill, you have to be updated. If you don't stay updated, you're going to be left behind. You're the only one who's using rocks. The other ones are using already laser technology. So you don't want to be in the field or under the cave or something, right? So there, stay up to date.
Amazing. So it's very important to stay curious, to make sure that we are following the trends, we are finding out new ways to learn as well. Because when the generation is younger and then you are teaching with the same blackboard and chalk, they're not
Mm,
going to understand anything you're saying. They're just going to
That's,
look down on you, right?
that's correct. It's just fun enough, being a teacher. I told you, being a teacher for more than 20 years. We used to start with teaching, with checking papers. Like when you're using your red pen, you have to check all the students' works. But now we have scanners that you can just scan, and it makes your job fast. In 1 hour, you're finished with 100 papers or less, right? In less than an hour, you can finish that one. You see, if you don't adapt to simple changes as an educator, as a trainer, as a mentor, you'll still be 5 days checking those test papers. It will take you forever reading them, going through those numbers. No, you have scanners already. Make life easier for you. You have more quality time. There's still life and work balance. You want to have that. You need to have that one. So if you want to be able to get through with these demands of the industry, go for gold, go for learning as well. Update yourself.
Thank you, Janice. That is something amazing to say. Update yourself because otherwise, as you said, the world is going to spin without you, right?
Yes.
And when we were working together, I also remember that this was my first training job and you were my mentor. So when you were teaching, you took the time, you didn't suddenly pour everything on me, but you went in very slowly to teach me exactly how I needed to learn. And you took that time and you kind of adjusted to my pace as well. So overall, okay, to kind of generalize or kind of like an end statement to everything that we have talked about, how do you think that this learning among employees is going to be fostered? Or what do you think that, how do you think that trainers contribute to this culture in general?
you know, um, Trainers, we've been trainers, you've been trainer, you are still a trainer. You have to foster a culture of growth. You have to foster a culture of collaboration. You can never work alone. It's a very hard. You struggle each and every time. So you foster collaboration. You have to have continuous development, encouraging lifelong learning. This is very important these days. Organizations should provide ongoing training programs, mentorship opportunities, access to learning resources to keep employees engaged and evolving. You see, as I mentioned before, the world is spinning without you. You're still there. You're there, but you're going to be left behind. And you don't want to be that person to be left behind. So learn. You create a safe space for experimentation as well. A culture where, like, there will be mistakes. You don't expect everybody to be perfect right away. A culture where mistakes are seen as a learning opportunity, a learning curve, rather than failures You don't see them as failures. It helps the employees become more open to growth and innovation. As I told you, you mentioned to me that when we started together, working together, I slowly integrated you into how we can do it, right? Because I always believe that small, doing it little by little, you'll be able to adapt on my technique, and then later on, you can be able to use your own techniques to harness it better. So I believe that we worked well in doing that one. I was doing here and you were doing there. So you did it because we were like learning from each other. You were doing this way, I was doing it my way, and then we compare to each other's works later on, which was, oh, okay, this would be more better. So you see, as I mentioned earlier, you recognize each and every learning ground that you have. No, the learning effort is there. The ability to acquire learning is always essential. Never cease to learn, no matter how old or young you are. Never stop learning, because one way or the other, this learning is um, acknowledging development, acknowledging acquisition of new skills. It reinforces the value of you being able to cultivate growth, right? So if you want to grow, never impose it to somebody. Let them understand that growth should be their mindset and not only your mindset. It should be in their mindset, because if I myself don't want to grow, nobody can push you. Nobody can help you. We will just be able to show you things. We will be able to talk to you into things. But if my mind is closed down into growth, nothing can help. So the cultivation of the culture of growth, the cultivation of learning, I think is the priority. Never, never that people should stop learning. We would always learn. Mothers learn. Grandmothers still learn, right? They learned how to do technology. They were able to adapt. So we should also do, and we should also be a part of that always.
Beautiful. I love how you just concluded the message for all of us. And I'm sure that a lot of young adults who are going to be teachers and who are going to be trainers are listening to you right now. So, just to end the conversation, what would you say to them? One piece of advice.
One piece of advice to future trainers, to future educators, to future mentors: you engage and provide relevant training that are more of independent skill building, more of inclusivity, reinforce continuous learning and adaptability to growth. Above everything else, inculcate growth mindset. Growth mindset. That should be the number one priority. Never settle for anything less. If you put a growth mindset and include diversity, adapt to change, I'm sure everybody will be willing to learn.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Janice, for that lovely advice. And I am sure today those who have watched would have that sense of, okay, we need to be part of the learning culture. And I have felt that. And I am sure that whoever watches today is going to have that mindset a little bit curated now. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for sharing a light on this topic. And I am sure and I hope and pray for your success for the future. Next 10 years, inshallah.
Inshallah, Hanaf, inshallah. Thank you so much also for this opportunity. And I hope that you and I, and the rest of the team would be able to motivate more learners. You see, the world needs a lot of teachers, and this does not come in classrooms only. We can be able to inspire, we can be able to teach, and we can be able to harness growth in each and everyone in our everyday lives. So thank you once again, Naf.
Thank you so much, Janice. And we will end the session today here. And since we don't have any participants today, but definitely I'd like to say those who are watching, you can always leave a comment on our YouTube channel, or you can always leave a comment on our Facebook post, and as much as possible we'll try to get answers for you, and we'll always stay in touch with Janice.
Yes, I'll be able to. I'll be happy to respond to their comments and suggestions here.
Definitely, we would share it with you, and we will keep this training, and we will keep this role of learning, the importance of it alive, and we will keep on talking about it because there's always something new to learn, right, Janice?
That's correct. Every day there's a new challenge.
Perfect. So, thank you so much again, once again, Janice, for being here today. That is
My
our end of the session.
my
Bye
pleasure
bye.
now. Thank you. Bye.